Welcome to another episode of Becoming Unfuckwithable with your host, Mindy Harley. Warning, listening to this podcast might cause you to shatter your limited beliefs, recognize your potential, and motivate you to be the best you can be. Other side effects may include, but not limited to, grabbing life by the balls, taking no crap from anyone, becoming an unstoppable force at various aha moments to get you thinking outside the box.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the season premiere of Becoming Unfuckwithable. We're your hosts, Mindy
and Sean Harley.
And today we have a very special guest with us. He is originally from Canada, located currently in Mexico. However, he is off to do a world tour. We have with us Dr. Darrell Wolfe. Thank you, Darrell, for joining us today. How are you?
Thank you, Mindy. Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
It's wonderful.
It's a beautiful day here. The sun is out. We got our sunshine in our eyes and we're ready to go for the day.
Beautiful.
Awesome. So, your work really resonated with me when I was first introduced to you. Growing up, there were so many of the tenets that you speak about that were some things that my parents instilled with me. No religion, allowing me to follow my dreams and my heart. Not trusting the medical system. And there was a lot of beliefs that I had that I kept quiet to myself because I didn't feel like anybody thought the same. And when I came across your work and a lot of things that you were speaking about, I was like, wow, yes, this resonates. Yes. Our beliefs, our attitudes, our emotional well-being, the unconditional love for ourselves, taking massive personal action, how religion and our thoughts and our upbringing can totally mess with us for the rest of our years if we don't take that action and do that healing work. And so I'm really curious, how did you get your start? How did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Okay. Yeah. My father was a born-again Christian pastor, and he was a carpenter. How do you like that story?
And a carpenter.
I'm serious. I'm not making this up. Okay. Anyway, so he used to always say that we were created by God Almighty and that we could have anything we wanted. And guess what? He almost never got anything he wanted. I was raised, there was three of us. My younger brother, a year younger, my older brother, a year older. The attention went to my older brother and to my younger brother, and the attention didn't go to me. So I was called the wild one, but I was only wild because I love the freedom. I really did. It was always go look for your brother Darrell, and I was free to think. I was more free to think. And the reality is when they started calling me the wild one, and also when I started getting, how can I say this, dishonored. Not that my parents wanted to dishonor me, but they had dishonoring beliefs for themselves. I mean, we're all raised with them. We're all raised with dishonoring, disrespecting beliefs, and that we don't fit in, or we're unworthy of love, or that the one that I really stuck out for me is my father said we could have anything, but his poverty consciousness was unbelievably over the moon. I mean, I remember when he said, okay, so we're going to give you an allowance, and it was going to be one dime. Okay. All right. Now I feel old. And that was one dime a week. And then when it came to give it to me, he said I didn't deserve it, but he didn't tell me why. And that was betrayal. And then another time, they woke me up around 11 o'clock at night. We had boarders in the house, and they spanked me for breaking this pear tree that was next door neighbors, and it wasn't me. So then I knew I could not trust human beings, and that broke me right there. And after that, then I became unruly, and I was only 10 years old, and I became unruly, and I'm unruly today. And the reality is this: God love everyone, but the majority of the population is dangerous to themselves and everyone else, and I want nothing to do with it. The reality is that with what I teach today, only 1 out of 10,000 people will really gravitate to what I'm talking about. And the rest of the people will either hate me, okay, or just write me off right away that I'm the devil or something silly like this. Because remember something, in this world, you only love people or like people because they match your beliefs. And the reality is, boy, you picked the wrong planet, damn it. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. There are thousands and thousands of different religions. There's different colors of people, different languages, different foods, different habits, different rituals. Oh, but you need people to match your beliefs or you're not going to have a good time. Well, I want to tell you something right now. I will only observe. I'll never judge anyone. And I'm telling you, all the way to Bill Gates and all these other people, I mind my own business. The reality is this stuff has been going on since the beginning, and it's going to go on forever. And everybody's going to bitch and complain and try to explain, get caught up in the politics, the religion of it. Okay. Or did you hear? Did you hear? Okay. Because guess what? We don't even know how to master the present moment. And until we learn how to master the present moment, we've lost everything. Okay, you know what we do? We love the past. We keep on delving into the past. We're ghosts of the past. We worry about the future and we screw up the present moment. So the reality is this, I'm going to love everybody anyway, because I know that hardly anyone's going to embrace what I'm talking about. Because understand something, the greatest thing that you'll ever do in your life is to totally unconditionally love yourself, no matter what the mistake or how you've been raised. Like I was raised a sinner. Now, do you actually think I would be alive right now? I'm 66 years old. My mother and father died of cancer. Most of my family died of heart disease or cancer. There's hardly anybody left. The reality is I am vital. I am healthy. And the reality is this, the things I say, I'll get people texting me, messaging me and go, you're going to hell. You know, like the reality is this stuff doesn't bother me, because people are programmed to live in hell. And I'm never going there again, not for one present moment. And a present moment is only 1/10,000th of a second. So to actually train yourself to stay in the present moment and own it and be aware of what's going on around you and never going into judgment again, no matter what the war is, what the argument is, what somebody has to say, mind your own business.
Yeah, that is so true. And that is the problem. Too many people are stuck in the past, replaying old events, worrying about future events, and not being present with what they have right in front of them and the opportunities that are there for them. And, you know, you mentioned, Bill Gates, you mentioned these guys and stuff. Do you feel that people put too much faith in these, scientific gods that are out there? And what do you feel is their biggest misconception about them?
Please don't get me wrong, but we just went down the wrong path. These guys actually signed the pact to be the cleanup crew. Low vibrational human beings are going to do what they want. And the reality is, you know what, if you're not going to transcend, if you're not going to wake up, okay, the harvest is on. Why do they call this the harvest? Why do they call us the herd? Well, the herd goes to the butcher. And understand something. Most of the people on this planet, God love them all, are low-hanging fruit. My God, low-hanging fruit. Most of them, their gut is low-hanging. Okay, their personality is low-hanging. Their food is low-hanging. Their thoughts are low-hanging. I mean, what are they doing with their time? What kind of life are they trying to create? I mean, this is called mind your own business. Look at, when I was younger, all I saw was when I was not younger. When I was younger, I didn't see all this disease. I mean, 90% of all the food that we eat now, 90% of all the food that we eat now never existed 90 years ago. 90% of all the diseases that we have today never existed 90 years ago. Oh my God, where's the logic gone? 1 and 1 are not 11. And the reality is guess what? all of these psychos that are out there right now that are pushing the V, understand something. They signed a pact to clean up. They're cleaning things up. I mean, you know, right down to there's no science to prove this stuff. No one's even isolated a virus. The HIV virus was never isolated. They've never even found it. I mean, I had CBC come after me and do a whole story on me because I said that you could cure HIV. And the reason why you could cure it is because it never existed. There was never a virus. The reality is all these symptoms that these people were getting were symptoms of everyone else, and they were giving them AZT, which was just knocking them off. The reality is that people are so gullible because, you know why? Because of their parents. God love our parents, but our parents are adulterated, and they teach us to have unconditional love for ourselves. And as soon as you have that, anybody can pull your pants down, take your diaper off, and put it on your face.
Yeah, that's very true.
True.
You're not the only doctor that has said that about AIDS. We were just watching another documentary the other night as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's that great clip of Carrie Mullis, the inventor of the PCR test, talking about how there's never been a paper linking this supposed HIV virus to AIDS, and which was another, Fauci endeavor back in the 80s too, right? And there's pictures of people out there protesting Fauci from back then, and it seems like we're really seeing a repeat of history now with that whole scenario.
Yeah.
And the reality is this. I'll talk about it, but I'll never talk about it. Like, I'll talk about it, but then I'm not going to talk about it. It's not going to be part of my agenda. Because the reality is that Fauci's never going to go to jail. Trudeau's never going to go to jail. They're all protected. The reality is this is planet Earth, a life-threatening, fun-filled adventure. There is no justice unless you want to self-serve it. There is no justice department. There's a judgment department. The government has an internal government that controls them. It's always been that way. And then everybody gets all wrapped up, especially we all get wrapped up in the United States more than any other country in the world. We actually think that we make a difference. The reality is that if everybody were to mind their own business and ignore the government, then the government would go away. Remember the bully? Everybody gets together and ignores them. I mean, stop buying something. If everybody stopped buying something, it will not exist. If everybody stops talking about something, it will not exist. I mean, people may not like this, and then I want to come back to health. But the reality is Trump is the lead actor in this soap opera called bullshit. And everybody waiting for the trumpet to go off. Oh God, I hope he comes back. I hope he comes back. You know what? Ever since I tell you right now, I can tell you since I was around 30 years old and up, it's my life, my moment. Everything I do is for me, and I'm not a selfish person. Everything I do, I share. And all we do here at the World Healing and Training is create opportunity for practitioners all over the world that weren't practitioners, that were lay people, that believed they were too stupid to become a medical doctor. No, they were too smart, because medical doctors aren't doctors. Medical doctors are drug dealers. That's all they are. They don't know anything about health. And then here, so you do deserve what you get. Oh, I just love my doctor so much. Okay, he listens to me. Yeah, well, that's because your husband doesn't. So what? What's the big deal? The reality is guess what? All he's doing is drugging you to numb you out, to shut you down. Remember something. Everything about the medical system is to shut you down. Tell me one thing that they do that doesn't shut you down. Cutting an organ out, cutting a piece of you, giving you a drug. It's all about shutting your vibration down. And there's your spirit. We are spirit beings. And guess what? Whether you believe it or not, remember Monsters, Inc.?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Monsters, Inc. is real. Okay? The government are the monsters that go into the bedroom every night to scare the living crap out of us, because these psychos and this evil entity on this planet lives off fear, the fear that we give it. So get this, and you better get this. They're not coming after me. They're coming off after the low-hanging fruit that's crapping its pants daily, because that energizes this evil entity that, religious people call the devil, but it's just an energy system. And guess what? The majority of the population is going to feed it, but I'm not going to buy into it. or feed it. I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm going to have my life. You know what? I came down here as a spirit being, but this is my life. I created one of the biggest healing centers, and I've only been here a year and a half. And then I get this whim about two and a half months ago that guess what? I'm going to close the sucker down because I can make even a better clinic. But before I do that, I'm going to travel around the world and lecture to hundreds of thousands of people, different places, and tell them that guess what? The thing that you need to do the most is the thing that you think you're going to go to hell for. And that's unconditionally loving yourself totally and letting yourself off the hook, never putting yourself on the hook, never having to forgive yourself or anyone else again, because nothing's going to change except for you.
That is so true,
Love
Darrell.
it. Love it. Absolutely. And yeah, you speak a lot about the importance of just unconditional self-love. And I would love to hear you speak a little bit about how, I mean, there's one aspect of being in the fear or the vibration of love versus the vibration of fear, but also our thoughts and our energies coming from our brain have real physiological consequences in our body too. And I would love to hear you speak on that for a little bit.
I will. I'll go right to it. But before I do that, just think about this. Just think about if you're counting on Mindy to fill up your little heart every day. Wouldn't that suck?
Yeah.
Because what? She has a life. You know, she's here to find her destiny, her purpose, her passion. I mean, that only lasted for the first year when you got together. Then you found out, oh my God, she changed or he changed. Well, God, what did you think I was going to do? Fill your tank up every day? My God, I have to fill up my own tank, but people don't get that. If you fill up your tank and she fills up her tank and then you get together, boy, won't you be tankful? You'll have the best life ever. But if you make her responsible for your little achy, breaky heart, which there's been too many songs that sound like that, okay? But then you're going to have the same sucky marriage as 9,999 people out of 10,000. 1 out of 10,000 couples actually have a spirit relationship. That's it.
Well, I think that's us.
Oh, but
We had gotten married in our 30s and have been through some life experiences before that. And so, I think people get married way too early before they become themselves, before they grow into themselves, before they've had a chance to learn those lessons that you're just speaking about. And therefore they're looking for that love somewhere else. They're dependent on somebody else for that.
Yeah.
But I want to say this, guys. People are not stupid. They just have stupid thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a gene in everyone. So what you were asking me, well, this is it. What is the image you have for Mindy and you? What is the image you have for yourself? What is the image you have for the world? My image for the world is a beautiful thing. My image for myself is a beautiful thing. My image for everyone is a beautiful thing because guess what? I'm not there to change them. And no matter what their belief systems are, I will observe and then see if I can be of any help. But I'm not going to try to save anyone because you'll stop going around trying to save people, whether it's your children, your wife, your husband, when you understand that it's unconditional love for yourself. And the only reason why you run around going around save people is because you can't live without love. It's like oxygen. So if you save someone, they're going to owe you their love and they're going to have to hand it over to you. And that's truly the way life works for everyone down here almost. So I've got an image. What's the image? The image, first of all, is mind my own business. If someone needs my help, be there. But understand, I learned, like you learned and everyone else learned, go try to fix your parents. Go try to fix your children. Go try to fix your friends and see how exhausted you become. Why don't you just take all that energy, bring up your vibration, and have them admire you while you are so high and they're going, how do I get high like you? You have an orgasmic life. No matter what goes on, you have a smile on your face. No matter what goes on and what goes on in the world, you just go, whatever, let's do what we can. And if we can't do anything, then we're not going to look over there. We're going to focus on ourselves. But we've been taught that that's selfish when actually it's centering into yourself. So every image creates a thought. Right now, people are listening to me and some people are going, he's a dick. Some people are going, wow, there's an aha moment. Some people are going, well, I'd never make him my doctor. Or some people are going, wow, I wish I had him as my doctor. And none of this matters. Whether someone likes me or doesn't like me, hates me or doesn't hate me, I know the deal. Love them anyway. Just because your beliefs don't match mine, I can't never, ever go into judgment on you, or I just blew it. I blew it. So an image becomes a thought becomes an emotion. So if I have a thought about somebody that their beliefs don't match mine, or they're toxic, or I give them a label, we label nothing. Label nothing. And understand, diseases are only labels, and diseases don't actually exist. They're all just symptoms of your body screaming out and saying, we have a relationship, and instead of a divorce, I'm giving you a disease. And if you don't wake the hell up, you are going to leave this body, because just like a car rusting out, you're rotting out with your stinking thinking, because the invisible creates the physical, the psychological overrules the biological. And everyone who has a disease, it is only their personality is the end result, is that disease, because and that's the symptom of you not being in harmony and alignment. So image, thought, emotion, energy, and motion. I am a spirit first and foremost. I don't know where I'm going, but people go, oh my, he doesn't know where he's going. He's going to heaven when he gets out of here. Well, you're going to heaven. I believe that heaven is right now. And maybe it can be for eternity. I don't know. But guess what? I got to look after the moment, because that's the only thing that I can actually work on right now. So image becomes what? Becomes a thought. Thought becomes an emotion, energy and motion. And then that becomes a frequency. That frequency will release chemicals. And I'm either releasing dose, which is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, which are like orgasmic. I can have my own orgasm whenever I want, because I can turn myself on or turn myself off. Or when I need a little bit of adrenaline, I can kick that in. But if I kick it in for more than 3 minutes, it actually will destroy my body. So understand, that's why I'm telling you right now, 60 to 70% of the population is leaving in the next 10 years. And the reality is this. You can think I'm full of it, and I probably am. But the reality is Lori and I decided about 4 or 5 months ago, we'd do a world tour, because you know what? I'm going to tell you something. There's people out there that are doing things that are illegal. There's to try to save their brothers and sisters. And understand something. If we're not going out there and trying to reach each other on a physical level, okay, our spirits are all going to leave here. All right. But guess what? The world's not ending. The world has actually ended 5 times in the way that the majority of the population is left. And then we started over again. Well, we're going there again. So whether you like it or not, we're going there. Okay. The majority of the population is leaving. And you can believe it or not and get all upset and cry and moan and groan. But the reality is I'm going to do my part. I'm going to try to teach people unconditional love. I'm not going to tell them that there's hellfire coming or they're going to hell. I'm just going to say, please love yourself. Because if you unconditionally love yourself, you're going nowhere. Because you would start respecting yourself and be in the present moment. And then you would see the things that are going on. And then you could realign yourself to your higher purpose. So, you're either dumping the good chemicals or the bad chemicals. And your brain is the dumbest thing that was ever created, or the smartest thing, because your brain's only a computer. So whatever program you put in there, that's what you're going to run. So you go and allow them to put these contaminated programs of your unworthiness inside that computer. And guess what? Your whole life is going to suck. All right. So, and if you put your own programs in where you were created by God Almighty, and you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to be abundant, even financially abundant. The day that I no longer believe that poverty existed except in my mind is the day that I never even looked at my bank account again. And I used to look at my bank account every day. I'd look at the money I made, and even if I made a few $1,000s that day, I'd pretend I made nothing, because I had poverty for myself, because I didn't love myself. And that's the way it was. That was just a program. It wasn't because I deserved it, because programs rule and school and fool us. So that's just the reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many people are running on these programs on auto that they don't even realize. And it's getting them worked up. They're constantly dumping, histamine, adrenaline, cortisol into their bodies. They're getting worked up. Their fascia is getting tight. And, speaking of which, with fascia as well, this is something being from the bodybuilding community that we've had to deal with a lot with working out. And I know you were wanting to learn a little bit more with Darrell's thoughts with fascia.
Yeah, fascia. Yeah, as a bodybuilder, going through massage therapists and different things, trying to find out exactly what is a muscle knot and not being able to find a straight answer from a lot of, so-called professionals in that area. And the more I research about fascia, the more important it seems to be, and the more the root of a lot of mechanical issues it seems to be. And I know you do a lot of work with that as well. So I wonder if you could just explain for our audience a little bit about, just touch on what fascia is, and then maybe how that gets traumatized and how that creates problems in the body.
Well, you got to understand something. Your beliefs create frequencies, and those frequencies either heal you or destroy. I say something, there's issues in your tissues. Now, when you look at the bodybuilding industry, that's an insane industry. The reality is that if you want to be a bodybuilder, you need to learn how to do Wolfe non-surgical therapy. I don't care how hard you want to work out. If you've got Wolfe non-surgical body work, and when I say this is not a promo for me. You need to get that. But there is no work like ours. You tell me another therapist you went to that offered you a money-back guarantee on the first treatment was going to be stronger and do more than all other treatments combined everywhere you went, whatever you did. The reality is it's always a scar tissue issue. But you have to understand that. If you go into my master class, Reverse the Irreversible, nobody explains it like I do. It's the domino effect of everything. We already said that. Your image of yourself creates a thought. Your thought creates an emotion. Your emotion creates a frequency, and you release chemicals. You can release chemicals to get high on adrenaline. It'll destroy you, or you can do it and dopamine, oxytocin, and it'll do the same thing. And it won't destroy you, but you'll get high on it. You'll go a higher love for yourself. The reality is here, do the body work, sculpt that body, build that. But the reality is that the secrets lie in the joint. They don't lie in the fascia. You just got sucker punched again. It's not in the fascia, it's in the joints. So good luck with that. So yeah, but Darrell, my joints, I feel like I got scar tissue in the belly of my muscles and the joints and things. I mean, in the belly of the muscles. But guess what? When you go to a joint, the origin and insertion, if I went up here and I went into the joint and I released everything and I went into here, this would have flow. This is jammed up in the joints. So they're wrong again. And the reality is guess what? Chiropractors, they put the joint back into place. It just pops right out. Because the reality is that when you get crystallization and displaced calcium, and when you do a wear and tear and you create inflammation, you create scar tissue formation, and the tendon, the ligament, the muscle, they all shorten a little bit. And that little bit of shortening causes it to pop out all the time. We can go into any joint in your body. I can spend only 5 minutes and I'll have it at the length it needs and it won't pop back out. They say to have a straight spine. Everybody should have one. But the reality is it's all a scar tissue that's pulling it all the time. Why do you think people go to chiropractors once every week or once every 2 weeks for the same damn problem? I mean, we have moronic thoughts. We don't think this isn't working. Like massage therapy, I became a registered massage therapist at a very young age. It only took me 6 months and I gave up my registered massage therapy license. Well, also because they came after me and told me I couldn't teach Wolfe non-surgical, that it was illegal.
Oh, geez.
Right? Really?
Yeah, that's 28. And I actually ripped up the diploma in the office of the Registered Massage Therapy Board in Toronto, Canada. Nice. Nobody was going to tell me what to do even back then. And the reality is this: anything that the government gets its hands on, they will twist and they will dilute. And understand something, it's all about scar tissue. Can you turn that off, please? It's all about scar tissue. And here's the deal. I want you to get this. Doctor, okay, I can't move my neck. You need to get rid of this. No, he doesn't need to get rid of anything. He needs to bring in the blood flow. It's all about circulation. He needs to bring in the energy flow, and nobody wants to hear this. It's all about your energy and spirit, because it can't even travel. It's banging up against this. Okay, it's like this. I'm outside trying to make a phone call in here. Cement walls, they won't allow the electrical in here, will they? Okay, so now once you start getting rid of the scar tissue and you get the calcium back in the bones and you melt the crystallization, you're right back. So when people go, oh my God, I have such a knot, or I have a fibroid, or I have a tumor, and I go, yeah, I can reduce that fibroid in about 40 minutes by 30%. They go, oh my God, well, am I going to have a heart attack or a seizure? Where's all that scar tissue going to go? And here's the deal. It doesn't matter even if it's this big. I can reduce it by 30% in most cases in 40 minutes.
Wow.
And they're going to go, well, where's all that going to go? I'm going to go, it's going nowhere. We're going to lovingly use Wolfe non-surgical fiber technique, and we're going to open up the fibers to allow the lymph, the blood, to and the energy and the light to come back in. And instantaneously, we're going to turn the scar tissue back into connective, beautiful tissue. That's it. That's the whole science. And the reality is you've got to go in the joints. And if you can tell me that you've got pain running all the way down your leg, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go into the SI joint in your back. I'll work there for 25 minutes. That pain running down your leg, 99% of the time is gone. The reality is that if you untie one knot somewhere, it creates a domino effect throughout the body, because when the knot goes into spasm or goes into inflammation, it actually pushes on the nerve, and that creates the pain. Here's one for you. And I'm getting this all the time. Dr. Wolfe, I've got stenosis. They want to operate. They say the nerve is dead in my spine. And I go, yeah, I'll tell you what. And it's usually L3, L4, L5, or it's up at C6 or 7. And I go, listen to me. Give me 15 minutes, all right? And I'll have the nerve back alive. The calcification, the scar tissue formation has choked it off. There is no such thing as the nerve dying. Your nerve did not die. But guess what? The surgeon can now go in, because the nerve is dead. Who cares? We can't do any damage. It's already dead. We'll just go in and do surgery, and we'll get rid of the pain, but you'll still have the numbness, because they created the numbness from the surgery, because surgery causes more scar tissue than anything else. And now you're really screwed. Anybody that gets surgery has to get Wolfe non-surgical after him. And we can prove with just one treatment that, yeah, you don't have the pain, but now you don't have the stiffness, and we can bring back the elasticity again.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because when they cut into you, right, they're cutting that fascia, and when that fascia regrows, it's not growing in the parallel lines like it's used to be able. It's naturally meant to be able to move, right? And so it's getting all kind of tangled up. Is that what scar tissue is? That's what you're breaking up?
You missed the whole point.
Oh,
You just went on a physical level again. What do you think?
well, that's what I'm talking about, surgery. And
Yeah, I know that, but I'm going to surgery, and I know I'm going to go to surgery. So how do you feel if you have to go to surgery and they have to take a knife and cut into you? How does that make you feel?
you feel low. Yeah.
Oh, well, no, but you're dumping adrenaline. And guess what? When you think of an area in your body, okay, that they're going to cut into, I hope you know that right there and there, you want to know what your cells are doing in that area?
Trauma.
Are we that dumb? Are we that dumb? You've got 50 trillion cells that have a brain, a spinal column. They have every organ that the whole human body has. They have emotion. And you know what? If you don't believe me, guess what? They've done studies. You can get somebody to think that they're going to get surgery in a certain part of their body, and the cell wall starts to thicken around the cell before the surgery even comes.
Wow.
Now, are you ready for this? When that happens and your cell wall starts to thicken because it wants to protect itself, it's not letting in your signature energy, which is called your spirit, because everybody has their own signature on their cells. And when your cell walls thicken through fear, oh, wait a minute, holy shit, what's going on now? Oh, they're trying to create so much fear out there that everybody's cells thicken, so their spirit won't come in, and that'll create a low vibrational human being, and welcome to the harvest.
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Oh man. Yeah. So wow. So many cells.
And that might be a good segue into inflammation, because it
Well,
sounds
it
like
is a protection. But understand something, and you got to get this, whether or not it's a paper tiger or a real tiger, when you actually rethink something over and over again, even if it's not, even if it happened 20 years ago, if I think about it today, I reactivate the same chemicals as if it happened again and again and again and again. So unless you're willing to tell a new story, you can't have a new life. Unless you want to be a storyteller. Yeah, but you don't understand, Dr. Wolfe. This is what I'm really feeling. Oh, be quiet. Let's start telling a new story. Now you're feeling great. Now you're the healer of your life. You're a genius. You've got this. We are not allowed to talk about that story anymore. You are now the hero that saves yourself and your family and the whole world. Start acting like it. Okay, enough of this. You know what? Everybody loves a victim when you're a victim. Nobody wants a hero around when you're playing the victim card. Nobody wants anybody to say enough of that. Just remember something. You go ahead and keep telling the same story. Your life is only your life because of the story you tell. My life is my life because of the story I tell. And guess what? Whether you believe this or not, this is not my personality. I'm just acting here. That's not your personality. What is your personality? You're a spirit being. Before you came here, you were a spirit being. You're an energy grid. That's what you were. You came here, and then the 5 most prominent, dominant people that were around you from 0 to 7, you are a mixture of them. That's it. So why don't you just decide to become more of your authentic self, or why don't you decide to be something else? Why don't you act like something else? How about a hero? How about acting like you know what you're doing? How about acting confident long enough and strong enough to become it?
love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, and you brought up inflammation, you know, a few times, and one of the biggest aha moments for me was that it's really the root cause of most everything and disease that we're dealing with, that I don't think people have even managed to put that together.
So many things that, you know, big medical has a name of a disease for. It's just inflammation somewhere else, right?
Yeah, but there, okay, first of all, there are no diseases, but at least with the names, we know where the chokehold is on that person. So if we can get rid of the chokehold, but we still have to go back to whole body healing, which means we have to go into the landmine first. But understand, let's talk about inflammation. I'll try to put that in a nutshell. Here's the deal. Okay, I'm the media, I'm the government. I'm food corporations. I'm pharmaceutical corporations. I'm all the corporations. We all get together and we go, all we got to do is scare the shit out of these people every day. We just have to drip it out. They've learned that. They've got really good at it. The reality is this: there is no such thing as depression. There's only such thing as the computer having to shut down because it's overheating and it's going to blow a circuit. So the reality is that anytime that you go into depression, okay, so what's going on? I haven't heard from you in a while. I went to the doctor and he diagnosed me with depression. There is no such thing. What happens is every time that somebody goes into depression, they need to go, okay, what was the story that I was telling myself over and over again? Holy shit, that I was going to die, or that my mother's going to die, or the world's going to end. Okay, or they were going to kick the doors down and steal my kids. Oh my God, all this bullshit. So the reality is your brain can't take, okay, because every time that you do that, you're dumping what? Adrenaline and cortisol and histamine. But every time that you bring in a negative, terrifying thought, that inflames the brain. Your brain goes, we can only heat up to 9. If we heat up to 10, you are going to stroke out or have a seizure. So we are going to shut you down because you are not in control of your emotions. So now the brain shuts you down, and it will shut you down for as long as it needs to cool down and repair. So now the deal is you go to the doctor and the doctor says, we got to put you on antidepressants. 6 months ago, the largest study in antidepressants, okay, came out. And guess what?
They were doing it wrong the whole time.
Nope, that's not it. It came out, and what? There was only one side effect, suicide. So now what happened was the only side effect, there was absolutely no positive effect except for one, go look it up, suicide. So now what has every pharmaceutical company been told by the FDA that they have to do? All you have to do is just call up a week later and say to the patient that you sold the antidepressant meds to is, are you thinking of killing yourself? And if they say no, then at least record it. And now we've got it on record.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Okay, so when you inflame the brain, you shut the brain down. Then you give it drugs to inflame the body even more because you're cutting off the gut-brain connection with drugs. When you cut off the gut-brain connection, it's not your gut. It's all bullshit. You see how they give us all the words? It's the large intestine. Okay, the worst place that every drug hurts is the large intestine because that's where your bacteria live. Your bacteria are 85% of your immune system. Your large intestine is 85% of your immune system. How many people know that on a physical level, the brain is not smart? The smartest thing in the human body is the bacteria. And guess what? That's the one they want you to kill. You can't go into a store without getting your bacteria soap into your bloodstream to help to kill the bacteria. Meanwhile, we're 50 trillion cells, but we're 700 trillion bacteria. So who has the power here? So now, here's the deal. It's all based on fear, and it's all based on chemicals, heavy metals, and other toxic chemicals. So if we can fry your brain, and if we can inflame you and bring in enough toxins to bring your pH down and your acidity, we're going to pull the calcium out of your bones. You're going to get osteopenia, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis. You're going to get diabetes. You're going to get heart disease. You're going to have stroke. Okay. You're going to have cancers in different parts of your body. And understand something. The personality decides the disease because there's no such thing as a disease. The personality is created by the thoughts you have and the beliefs you have, and the beliefs gets to pick your disease. So guess what? You can actually, when a person comes into us, we're more concerned with the shape they're in here, not the shape they're in here. Because if we can't get them to tell a new story, then they can't have a new body.
Very good. So do you have any?
Remember, inflammation, what's the first 6 letters of inflammation? Inflame. Now, that's why people have round faces and they have so much water retention and so much fat, because you have to have somewhere to store the inflammation and the infection. And the water comes when you see people have a lot of water retention. The water comes because they had to call the fire department and bring water to water it down until you wake up. Now, inflammation, understand this. You're walking like this, all stiff, right? You can't move. It doesn't matter what age, people get stiff, and that's because of the whole fear thing. Fear is a barbecue. Fear is a barbecue. So I'm going to put the human being on the barbecue. I'm going to put the steak on the barbecue. I'm going to turn the burner on just low. How long is it going to take before it gets dehydrated? And the life force is sucked out of this. So understand something. They have put us on a barbecue and they've got it on low, and then they'll put it on high and they'll create a disaster, and then they'll put it on low, but they never turn the barbecue off because they want you to become a piece of beef jerky. And guess what, my friend? That's what you were talking about earlier. That's why you don't have flexion. That's why you don't have extension. That's why you're not, elastic. We can remain young, feeling, and healthy, okay, into 100 years and more. The reality is, every time you lose your shit and you are going to fear mode, false evidence appearing real, you are burning your body up stealing calcium. And what does a fire do? It eats up oxygen. If it eats up oxygen, guess who received the Nobel Prize for discovering cancer? Dr. Otto Warburg. So if you go without 35%, if you have a drop of 35% oxygen in a cell, okay, the cell has to go into mutation and then survive on sugar and lactic acid. So the lactic acid, there's tons because you're already a freaking yourself out. So it can live off of that because it's intelligent enough to go, wow, there's tons of lactic acid here. And there's tons of sugar because there's tons of sugar in everything. I hope you know that we now eat 20 times more sugar than we did 75 years ago, 20 times. So understand the harvest is on. So now what happens is the cell goes, wow, look at all this sugar. And remember something, everybody. Cancer cells don't live off of honey or maple syrup. They live off of refined sugars. Refined sugars have a right spin and it goes directly in. Natural sugars do not go into a cancer cell. They can cause hypoglycemia and blood problems, of course, but people don't have it right. That's why somebody can go on carrot juice, an 8-ounce glass of carrot juice, and they can do that for 8 hours a day. And you'll see some people just reversing their cancer. So the whole sugar theory is out the door on that one. But the reality is your cells say, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. So I'm just going to live off of what you've created here because you're out of balance. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. I wish more people understood that. But instead, they rely on, the pharmaceutical drugs, which are nothing but petroleum based and ruining their gut microbiome and their large intestine and their health. And
Mindy, this all comes back to the parents that didn't love themselves. So unless we're going to teach teenagers to unconditionally love themselves before they decide to have children, this curse is going to continue.
Yeah. It's very true. So I really feel, there's a lot of new research with energy grounding for inflammation. Energy medicine is coming into the picture faster than ever, I feel. What are your thoughts on energy medicine for the future?
Well, first of all, the best energy medicine is your spirit. And if you don't feed it, you'll never heal. And that means you'd actually have to stop listening to everyone else and actually fall in love with yourself. Good luck with that one. But first and foremost, the second to that is I'm a big energy medicine guy because everything is based on light and frequencies. Everything on this planet is. And the reality is it's all about light, frequency, and circulation. I mean, if you have perfect circulation, you have perfect health. I mean, every disease, you'll find there's a block of calcium, scar tissue, crystallization. So whatever we can do, we're light energy beings. We are walking, talking batteries. We are solar panels, and we are spirit beings having a physical experience. Our spirit is not inside our bodies. It's around us. It's in us. Okay. All right. We are that. Okay. I am not this body. I am not a health practitioner, a father. I'm a spirit being. Okay. Running my own movie. So I better become a great writer and a director here. But the reality is that I got into energy medicine when I was 21 years old. I was selling rifle equipment.
Oh.
Okay. So I was already doing that. It wasn't the greatest rifle equipment in the world because everybody says they make it. But the reality is that I wouldn't use stuff like Rife now anyways. It's too old. I really believe we have the best energy medicine equipment in the world. I mean, take Cellsonic. It's 25,000 volts, but it's in a love harmonic, meaning that you don't put 25,000 volts into the person. You put the field of 25,000 volts into people's cells. That's why it's able to actually shut down stage 4 inflammation, which is mutation, which is people call cancer, in one treatment. It doesn't mean it's going to stay away because we needed to change our personality to and believe in ourselves and our healing. But I can tell you stories, Mindy, every week here that go on with Cellsonic that you would just be flabbergasted. Okay. Like a gentleman, he's 71 years old, stage 4 cancer. He got actually only one treatment. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to happen all the time, so I'm not making any promises. And he got one treatment with the Cellsonic on his lungs. And then he went on our Perfect Day protocol, and he went to the doctor. And understand something, you'll see this show. I actually had his therapist on, and we've got documentation to prove it, that he went to his doctor and said, you don't have a cancer cell in your lungs. You're totally clear. I don't know how this happened. It's a miracle by God. Another boy just this week, he broke his wrist, and guess what? He couldn't get into the hospital, put a cast on for a week. They told him just to stay comfortable. So the reality is he went for Cellsonic, 100 pulses on this side and this side of his hand. And guess what? He went in and the doctor said, you don't need to put a cast on that because it's already growing new bone.
Wow.
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 And then take our cardio med bed. Okay. Well, that's just beyond Thunderdome. This thing here, you put these cuffs on your legs, your lower legs, your upper legs, and your hips. And in between your heartbeat, it contracts. Are you ready for this? In 6 weeks, we can take somebody with a 90% blockage in their heart and create a whole new set of arteries. We can, in 3 treatments, we can see impotence reversed. Okay. Okay. How about this one? We can see dementia reversed. We can see adult onset diabetes reversed. We can see any circulatory or digestive problem or even breathing problems. And when you put everything out, everything is energy medicine though. Even belly button therapy is energy medicine. Even clapping, using a clapper, okay, is energy medicine. I mean, if you clap and you bruise, that shows that you got issues in your tissues and your tissues are rotting. You should be able to use a clapper and never bruise. So energy medicine is about getting back into harmony and restoring perfect circulation. And that's all. The end result is perfect circulation. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I just wish more people would understand that. Like we are, energy beings, and everything is energy and frequency, and like right down to our cells. But instead, this programming that we've had from, the Rockefellers and like their medical system, and just cut something out and everything that's going to fix it, or put me on a med and that's going to fix it, and taking ownership. Oh, it's very.
Yeah. And with this recent pandemic, I think a lot of the corruption and just the views of the big medical world are kind of coming to light. More people are seeing like, wow, they're not correct about everything. They're corrupt, and they're looking for other answers. And I think that's something people put in your message.
If you actually believe you're eternal, what else would you do except play a life-threatening, fun-filled adventure? Don't take it personal. But the reality is guess what? I already said, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, they all have purpose.
Yeah.
If you were to ascend, if you were to totally love and care for yourself, take massive personal action, none of this would matter.
Mm-hmm.
You get bent out of shape because you buy their story. I don't care about their story. I don't care about anybody's story. It's your story. I'm going to buy into my story. Today's going to be a beautiful day, whether there's another war or whether it doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what goes on. If you actually believed you were eternal, you'd say, well, what are we going to do with eternity? Well, we should make up some really interesting games and understand, because if you really believed you're eternal, then you're not really dying. You're playing a Nintendo PlayStation game. And guess what? You get to start all over again. My God, but to believe that this is it and we're not going anywhere after this. Oh, well, even if that was true, and if it was true that you only have this one life and you're not going to exist at the end of this life, wouldn't you want it to be the best? And it's never going to be that way unless you mind your own business. And if it's not true that you're going to live eternally, then that means that all we're doing is playing a universal PlayStation game. And guess what? You don't know the rules. And that's called be selfish enough to have a perfect day from the moment you rise until you close your eyes, because that's the only thing that you can give somebody else is joy.
Yeah. 100%.
Beautiful. That's really what it's all about right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, Darrell. Well, thank you so much for all of your knowledge and for having this sit down with us. And, you mentioned the world tour and you mentioned Wolf Non-Surgical. Where are some places that you're going to be, and where can people find out more about you and where they can connect with you on your world tour?
Well, they can go to nwpworldtour.com, okay, or braveheartnation.com. And I'm going to be leaving here, and I've got 3 lectures to do. They can go and take a look at all the lectures. Every place we go around the world, we're doing a free lecture. And then after the free lecture, then we'll be kicking into the New World Practitioner Training, which is Whole Life Coach and Wolf Non-Surgical. They're 2 certifications for people who thought they didn't have the money or they didn't have the intelligence to become a health practitioner, which is a lie again, okay? And then we also have 2 other courses. One is called Pelvic Restoration. It's only 3 days for women, but it's the most important course to heal your pelvis, to heal your vaginal canal, to heal your whole body. And then we have another course called Braveheart Health and Healing Circle, which is a 7-day course. And that is actually for people that say, I can't take this anymore. I need to rewrite my story. I need to find my authentic self. I need to find my purpose. I need to stop feeling like I'm a caged animal. So they can go there and they can read about it. We've got all the information there. And I don't know what else to say.
Well, you've said so much already, and I know my husband and I are definitely looking forward to getting certified through your certifications as well. So we look forward to joining you on the world tour on that. But other than that, Darrell, again, thank you so much for your time today, and we want to wish you a beautiful day.
Thank you so much for having me on, and let's rock the world. 3, 2, 1. We got this, Braveheart.
We got this.
Yes. Thank you, Darrell.
Thank you. Bless you.
Bye.